Hey there, fellas, folks. We are live at 5 on the Facebook
Live.
platform from the Van Conant sessions. Welcome to it. Those of you that are able to make it, we appreciate you tuning in. Unfortunately, we had a last minute guest was not able to show up today, so we decided we'd just carry on with a discussion about some criminal history, which I have unfortunately a little bit to talk about. And so we'll just discuss it, and hopefully you guys will chime in. If you have any questions, we'll answer them the best we can, or whatever.
Yes,
And
I will be keeping an eye on our comment sections in case y'all got questions.
and for those of you Robin Williams fans, I got to tell you that we are both started into this book, which will be the basis for our Robin Williams podcast when we get to it. We're looking forward to that. Uh, yeah, it's already a fantabulous book,
Agreed.
for sure. So I did my piece earlier today and titled "Truth," and basically I did that with to coincide with this podcast because it really comes down to truth. Does it set you free, right? I mean, you have to deal with truth.
Absolutely.
Admit, well, I did a lot of things, really stupid things when I was young. It starts out I'll just start out how I ended up, and we can just kind of go back and forth a bit because I have a lot to share, like I said. But so it starts out with me, and actually, I wrote a book about the first 18 years of my life called Relentless Intervention, which I do plan on read. I have to re-edit it, redo it. The whole thing is the platform I did it on is it all changed. I couldn't edit it anymore, so it's kind of you can still get it on Amazon, but only the digital, the Kindle version. Um,
Yeah, that's right.
and So I'm going to redo that eventually as I get time. And but anyways, my parents divorced when I was 14 months old. Um, and it was kind of just chaos from there. I ended up with my grandparents. I haven't seen my mother. She's passed away now, rest in peace, Catherine. Um, but so like I said, it just kind of went haywire from there. Um, the back and forth. My dad worked a lot. My mom she was just completely, she just wasn't there. And actually, I'm going to share as part of the criminal history thing. I have a brother, a half brother through my mother. His name is Kelly Scott Van Conant because she kept my dad's last name after she cheated on him and they divorced. Anyways, I'm going to share a little bit about where he's at today, and it's very unfortunate because it's somewhere I could have been if I wouldn't have changed my ways. But throughout my childhood, obviously, I did a lot of stupid things, ended up in trouble. It started out when I was young. I mean, actually, first I lived in Flint when I was 7, 8 years old, and I remember I got caught stealing dinosaur eggs. Remember the little dinosaur eggs?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. From one of I don't remember what store it would have been, some little local store up around the corner from me. I lived on Southgate, and I got caught, and they made me sweep the parking lot, as a restitution type of thing. I was young,
Right.
7 or 8, whatever it was. And then as the years went on, it escalated. In Peck, I ended up with my grandparents. And living in Peck, I ended up hooking up with a buddy. We'll just call him Benny. We'll leave any last names out of it. And him and I did a lot of, I followed him is what it was, unfortunately. And
The shenanigans.
oh boy, we did a lot of stupid. It started out there. It was vandalizing and school buses and stuff. And he he got he got caught because you know what he did? He friggin' took the damn fire extinguisher on the school bus and he sprayed the whole damn bus down. And then he walked through it and left his foot marks in there like an idiot
Oh.
coming from a genius. Anyways,
Oh yeah, right.
so and from there it went on and on. We ended up paying the price for that too. I have records of all this stuff because I have this, which is part of how I wrote my book because I have over 200 pages of mental health records, which I can refer back to. And you've read the book, so you know what I'm talking about. Relate to everything
Right.
that was said about me, to me, that type of stuff. which we'll talk more about. And so after that restitution, of course, we're not supposed to be around each other, but we're gonna go hook back up after a certain amount of time because we're gonna end up meeting in town wherever, and then it just turned back into the same thing. Ended up being, uh, you know, he would get into the school, and what he would do is climb up. There was a greenhouse. He'd climb on top of that, get up on the school, and get through the and get in through the janitor's door down in the school, and then he'd let me in at night. That went on for a while, taking little stuff here and there and doing some dumb stuff, damaging things or whatever. We ended up getting caught for that too. And so after all that, the trouble just it was just nonstop in trouble, then in trouble in school, not doing my schoolwork. It just became hopeless. My grandmother became sick, and what had ended up happening is, with her in the hospital, I ended up getting taken out and put into foster care. And that's another whole story. And from foster care, I went first foster home. I won't even give any details because it's in the book. I went from that foster home after running with the law with the foster mom, and then went to another foster home in the same town. It was in Marlette, Michigan, and went to the second foster home. And this lady was like, she was just an old hag. She just had it out for me, man. So we did not like each other. We
Welcome
got
in, Anthony.
Hey Anthony, thanks for tuning in. So you're getting a little rundown of my criminal history, where it began with stealing dinosaur eggs when I was about 7. And so um, where was I at, Anthony? You interrupted me. uh,
Just talking to
oh,
basically just talking to
yeah, the foster care. So I went to the second foster home, and this lady she was just horrible, and I couldn't take it. So I'd called my probation officer at one point, and I said, "Listen, I don't care where you put me." There was a place at the time called Teen Ranch. It was a youth home for boys. And I said, I don't care if you put me in Teen Ranch, just get me out of here." So he did, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Actually, I was 15. I spent about a year there, and it was a Christian-based place. That was basically where I was introduced to God and followed and kind of, became a Christian, although I still fell way off, which you'll hear about later. But that was a great place. Um, and so prior, I was actually, my stepmother was a Catholic, and she would take me to catechism when I was little, but there's not much memory of that. I was pretty young. But when I got out of Teen Ranch, um, I ended up going back with my dad and stepmom, but I was not wanted. So it was very uncomfortable. And I ended up just, after I'd went through that whole program and was doing well, trying to do the good thing,
right.
I went right back to stupid again, 16, 17 years old. Well, while I was in Teen Ranch, I forgot to tell you this part. So when I had first went into Teen Ranch, they had a home. They had You'd start out at this home. There were ranch style homes that had 10 boys in each one. You'd start out in one for like a month, then they'd put you in your permanent home where you'd stay until you were finished with the program, quote unquote. Well, before I made it through that first home, me and this buddy of mine that I met in there decided we were going to run away. So, oh, cool. We ran away, took off, went down. I knew where I was going because I lived around there for, quite a few years.
Right.
So we took off and went through the fields. Nobody could find us. We ended up in town in Marlette, going to the high school. So I'm up in the high school and parking lot. Him and I, it was a Sunday. Nobody around. You already know the story. So uh, they had the van, like the utility van, whatever they use for school, for events or whatever. It was a big old Chevy, like 8-passenger vans, back in the day. Well, first thing we're looking to find a cigarette, right? So doors unlocked. I open the door, just look in the ashtray, see there's cigarette butts in there. No, but what was in there? The keys. So there comes my first felony.
Ding, ding.
Bing, at 15 years old, my first felony was committed. Grand theft auto, I guess. Well, I think they call it joyriding or whatever. So we took off, and I'm all cool. We put our seatbelts on. I'm trying to be cool, just driving down through Marlette, and going through town. It was funny because obviously everybody in town knew the van, so people are waving like they think it's somebody from the school. And I'm just waving right, heading out of town, man. Don't worry about me. I'm doing the speed limit. And so we get all the way, and I've got a destination in my mind. I'm going to go meet my buddy Stacy, rest in peace. And I'm with his sister today. Another long story, but we get almost to his house, and this kid, Sidiot, I'm gonna call him. I don't even remember his name, but he wanted to drive the van. I'm like, all right, I'll let you. So I get out, we switch seats. I'm in the passenger seat. He starts to take off, and we're on a dirt road by a bridge, actually. And excuse me, and what does he do? As soon as he gets in, shut the door, he just hammers the gas, man, right to the floor. I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna roll it. So we're doing back and forth a few times, and oh yeah, rolled it right over on the side, smashed the passenger window out. Good thing
No.
at that point, I didn't have my seatbelt on because I was jumped into the passenger seat. I reached over, rode it up, bam, and man, it's just crazy. Try to open the door on the van when it's on its side, man. That's heavy. We got out. Somebody drove by and seen us, and we're like, yeah, we're cool. Everything's all right. We went down through the ditch, hid in the cornfield. It wasn't, half hour later, man, there was sirens everywhere. And ended up getting caught, obviously, and it was cold.
Oh no.
It was cold and rainy that night. I'm like, yeah, I was hiding. We were hiding out way out back in my buddy's house. He wasn't there. Actually, come to find out at that time, I think he had went to Texas with his uncle. He wasn't, nobody was home. And so we were hiding out way out back in the tree line, and you could just state cops were everywhere. I'm, flashing, looking up in the neighbors' barns or looking for us.
Right.
Eventually, I just came out. I'm like, let's just get up. We got nowhere to go. It's freezing. So we gave ourselves up. They took us back, and back to the ranch we went, and
Dag blarn
yeah,
it.
and
It was fun while it lasted, I'm sure.
right, and I had a house parent at that time. In that house, he was a big colored fellow. His name was Willie Starr. Man, he was a big dude. He bench pressed 350 pounds, and you didn't mess with him. And
Right.
I never had a problem with him. I mean, it was cool after that. That was a stupid choice I made, and that was that. And but like I said, I did make it through Teen Ranch, and ended up going back to my dad's place when I was 16, and then it kind of spiraled downward after that. But in the meantime, I'll let you get some words in, Brett, because I'm taking up the whole stage here. I got a lot more to share. So,
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, I guess technically it's criminal history. I've been incarcerated twice, um, both for child support, lack
okay,
of payment, you know.
right.
So the first time was kind of an interesting ordeal because if you remember, I was kind of like staying with you, I think. Like, I just remember, yeah, I was staying with you, and I remember getting a text on my phone, and it was telling me that I had a warrant out for my arrest, and I'm like,
All
man,
right.
and COVID was going on, so you're like, well, I wouldn't worry about it too much, because COVID's going on, and they're not really, which you were right because
Right.
I ended up contacting Alan Bell, and he's like, well, the good news is they're not really going for child support warrants right now because of, the pandemic. We're only taking like violent cases and stuff like that. So you're basically good for now. Well, I thought them moving 2 hours and 15 minutes away and
Oh,
kind of laying low. And you know what I mean by laying low because I was out in the boonies out there, man.
all right. 'Cause,
Uh,
yeah, I helped you pick up all your stuff from that place. I remember that.
yeah. The mother of my children found out where I was. She had a bone to pick with me or whatever her case was, and she called on me, and they came out there with like four fucking squad cars, man. Like I was some violent
Right.
criminal and shit, and they're all, I mean, it went smooth or whatever, but it was my first time. I was nervous in hell. Nervous as hell. I felt
Right.
like hell.
Oh yeah.
Um, my first 2 nights I had to because I went on a Friday, so they kept me Saturday, Sunday, and then most of Monday in holding. So that sucked.
Always fun.
But then my bunkie was cousin Jim. Um,
Jim.
so that gave me a little bit of comfort, because I'm like, well, this is my first fucking time. And then not only is cousin Jim, my bunkie, but the dude next door to our cell was none other than jailbird Johnny Valdez.
Old Johnny.
And he's like, Brett Van Conant? No
Yeah.
way, dude. And then he's like, that was the little drummer boy. And I'm like, yeah, not so little anymore, man.
Right.
Um, but no, I mean, it wasn't for me. I'll be honest. I probably had the easiest jail that I could have gotten. Um, it sucked. I mean, being,
Right.
you know, in behind four walls, no matter what, you're restricted. You have no control on the outside world, what's going on. My second time incarcerated, I got a phone call from CPS, saying that my kids were involved in a case, but that she couldn't tell me anything over the phone about it, but wouldn't come to see me. So I'm like panic mode, anxiety.
Right.
Come to find out, it wasn't anything serious, thank God. But I mean, when you're in there, you know, and things like that happen on the outside, I think that's the hardest part is you have zero control.
Yeah. All it is.
Welcome
That's
in, Heather.
yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. We're just running down,
Absolutely.
running down a little bit of our criminal history, which most of it's mine, granted, only because I've had 20 more years than Brett. That's all. But I mean, just kidding. Uh, yeah. So
Just kidding.
when you go to jail, absolutely that does suck because I'll tell you, you completely lose everything. That's it. I don't care, and they don't care. You break the law, asshole, and you go to jail. You lose every privilege you ever had. You lose everything. That's it. If somebody outside isn't taking care of your stuff, you'll lose your place, you'll lose your stuff, you'll lose everything. That's just the way
Right.
it goes, and you have no control. In jails, I've never been to prison. Now, I've been to jail a couple of times. We're going to
Right.
talk about it. Um, from what I do know about prison, at least you can do things. In jail, you're stuck in a cell. And I mean, depending on the cell, because we were both in the bigger cell, the 50-man cell.
Yep.
Uh, but I was also the first time, which I'm going to get lead up to here, but that first time I was in there, a 4-man cell is like not much bigger than a bedroom with a shower and a toilet. That's it, dude. You can't do nothing, man. I mean, there's nowhere to walk or run, do anything. You might be able to do some push-ups if you got space when people are sitting in their bunk.
Right.
That's it. And you
Yep.
sit there 24/7. That's it. Actually, with that first time I went, I'm going to lead up to that here. So I'll just jump back to where we were prior when I had gotten out of Teen Ranch, moved in with my dad and my stepmother. And like I said, I was not wanted there. To quote what my stepmother said at the time, she said, of my dad, he was acting like a kid in a candy store. He was excited for his son to come home. I didn't live with him my whole life because of her, basically. That's just the truth.
Right.
Um, and once again, it just didn't work out. I was not comfortable there, so I stayed away as much as I could. I ended up moving out, actually in with Benny at one point. And then I ended up living in a place uptown in Peck that's not there anymore on the corner, an old block building, which leads me to what landed me in jail the first time. So I lived with these guys. They're from Florida. He was just, I don't even remember why he was there, family or something. We were all hanging out. And so what started a B&E spree one day, the Village Market was closing down, which is the old grocery store on the corner there. It's antique place now. Well, it's a laundromat now.
Okay. Yep.
So that was a grocery store. The lady that worked in there, I'm not sure. I think she was an owner or part owner. I forget now, but this was back in like 92. The guy I lived with happened to have been walking by there one day after she'd come out and she dropped the key to the door. So let the adventures begin, right? Well, the store was basically emptied out, but there was some stuff in there. So we went in there at night and there was like 40 ounces left. There was a few things. So we kind of cleaned out anything worthwhile. And then we ended up moving on and we went to the Pepsi store next to where your mom lives. It used to be a little store there, liquor store. Got in there, was stealing liquor, cartons of cigarettes. And that went on and on, didn't get caught. So, you don't get caught, you keep pressing your luck. Then one night, so I'm 18 at this time, just about, I don't know if I had turned 18. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I was 18 because it was later in like September or something, I believe, late August, early September. Um, So we had decided at one point we're going to go out and next to our good friend Brian Wesh's place, their old gas station out there on
Oh
Sandusky
yeah.
Road. We decided we're going to try and break into that party store. So we're out back. This is the irony of this is actually funny. We're out back with pry bars and shit trying to get through some like a piece of panel on the back or something, see if we could get in the store. Well, it didn't work. And Brian Wesh and his buddies just happened to be sitting in that gas station and they seen us. So they called the cops.
Oh yeah, no shit.
And as we're trying to get in, man, so the state boy comes flying up, but he had his sirens off. Obviously, he's just trying to catch us. But I seen the lights flash, and I'm like, oh shit, that's the cops. So we booked down, and it's cold and damp out. So we booked, climb around, go around the street there where Brian's place is, run around there. And I was lucky enough to get across the road into the field, and there was beets out there. I think it was, probably 2 feet tall or so, but it was cold and wet. So the cops were running, following on our steps. He'd gotten away.
Mm.
He was a tall, skinny dude, but he'd gotten away. Actually, I was skinny at the time too, but he had just gotten far enough ahead of me. He made it all the way to the tree line because we were parked at the cemetery up the road, and he he made it to the tree line. The cop came around, and finally with his light, he followed my steps, and I was laying in the field trying not to be seen. Well, you could see my he could see my breath, so that didn't work. And so he
Sunny Beach.
busted, so I got caught. Well, and when all that happened, it ended up being, I was actually looking at 5 felonies for breaking and entering. And a breaking and entering is a 10-year felony for those of you that don't know, which pretty stupid, but
Right.
it was basically my first offense in anything as an adult. And
Janet says, sorry. Janet, I don't want to say her last name wrong.
oh,
G
Phil, Phil,
Gallant.
Gallant, I say Gallant, I believe.
Okay, okay, Gallant. So yeah, she said that um she has to watch later. It's time for her to cook supper.
Oh, really?
And Anthony was kind of talking about like the cells where he is, 2 bunks, toilet, then in dorm there's tables, phone, shower section. I told him the same
Right
here.
on.
Uh
Well, thanks,
and yeah,
Jan.
but I was just catching up with some comments and Heather said, "Woo, that's a lot talking about your
Oh, right on, right
your
on.
B&Es."
Yeah, it's bad. Definitely not something I'm proud of, but we just want to be truthful here because the truth
Oh
will
yeah.
set you free. So, um, anyways, yeah, thanks, Jalent, for chiming in. We appreciate you. She's a trooper. She's my good buddy Phil Fletcher's mother.
Heck yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I had actually had an attorney. I was looking at 5 felonies. He tried to narrow it down to an attempted breaking and entering. The prosecutor wasn't having it. But they did
Mm.
narrow it down to one, just a single charge of breaking and entering, to which I was sentenced to a year in jail. And I ended up doing 6 months with good time. Well, I ended up being trustee, which knocked it down to 125 days for, a little over 4 months. And yeah, so that was my first time in jail and 4 months in jail. Man, when you get out, it's like the best feeling in the world. You're like, wow.
Oh, for sure. And I did want to note too, there is a positive side, I guess, for some people. It taught me like to be neat, you know what I mean? Like take care of my shit and just like
Right.
have a routine basically.
Yeah.
It taught me that. And being trustee was cool, but because I was in there for child support, you don't get good time for child support. So I had
Already.
to do the straight 90. But
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's no
yeah.
fun. No fun being locked up, man. And like I said, especially jail. Um, as trustee, at that time, I did get to get out just a little bit, but they didn't have anything where you couldn't go outside or do anything. As a trustee, you got to roam the halls and, feed people and whatever, but you still weren't free.
Right.
And you couldn't even really see outside. I mean, all the cells, there's no windows. You can't see nothing but light.
Yeah. My first time as trustee, they only let me do like the serving people, but my second time I got to be downstairs trustee and I actually got to go outside to like wash cop cars and stuff. Um,
All right.
I was in there for one of the big parades and boy, that was a fun day. Literally spent from like 4 a.m. to like 6 p.m. I want to say, just washing cop cars and
Wow.
fire trucks and stuff from the
Yeah.
parade.
Yeah, I never had the privilege of doing the car washing, but that would have been all right too. Um, yeah, so after that, I did my time there, and actually, that first time I went, cause there's more. That was my first one. Actually, Benny picked me up that night when I had gotten out, and I went and lived with him for a little while. And then shortly after that, I got back with your mother because her and I had dated, and then we got back together, and then history was made. You were born, and all that stuff.
Hey.
And then
I was the history that was made.
94, 94, as little
For
Brett would say.
sure.
Not in California though.
Yeah, not in California, but it was 94.
94, yeah. So, and that went, everything went pretty well for a while up until you were about 7, and things went haywire. Well, see, you were 5 and Taylor was born, so your younger brother Taylor.
Yeah, I was
Um,
almost 6.
yeah, and yep, because November and you're January 1st.
Yep.
Um, but after Taylor was born, it was a couple years, and your mom and I split, and without getting into the weeds, shall we say, there was another man
In the
involved,
weeds.
and of course, that doesn't go well and when you're
No.
married to someone
No.
and whatnot. So, and then here comes the second round, which is just a single felony, and it was literally almost 10 years later, um, from the first, felony that I'd had. So they actually tried to hit me with habitual offender, second offense, like, okay, like I'm breaking the law
Mm.
all the time. So what
Right.
happened? What happened was I was out because obviously I was booted out of the home in a sense, and I was kind of living at a buddy's house, but I'd go by the house a lot. And I was out one night, um, and a buddy's in Marlette, and I went home or to back where I was staying that night. Had to go by the place. Well, I knew this guy was there, and as I'm going
Mm.
by, I get past there, and I'm almost home, and I'm like, I forgot my cell phone. So all because I forgot my cell phone. I went back to town, got my cell phone, and it's brewing inside me the whole time. I'm like, man,
Right.
what can I do? I'm just angry. So, and at the time, if you remember, I had that 88 Lincoln Town Car, and that was a
Oh,
boss.
I remember. Yeah, you
That
had a
was,
couple nice Lincolns, but I remember that one.
yeah, it was a beautiful ride. I should have pulled up the picture for it, but I'd be forever looking for it right now. Um,
Right.
but anyway, so on the way back through, because it was probably only about a 7, 8 mile trip or whatever. On the way back, I'm like, you know what? Because this is a farm we lived on, big teardrop driveway. He was parked up at the top. I said, I'm going to just pull in there and I'm going to smash his car with mine. Battering ram. So it was like 2 in the morning, man. I flew up in there probably 30, 40 miles an hour. I pushed his car completely sideways and totaled it. And I was like, so it totally crunched the front of the town car. And I'm like, oh shit. Can't even see over the hood. I was like Jim Carrey driving down the road trying to
Yeah.
get back home. Made it back home, and of course, I was a nervous wreck because I knew I was in trouble. Got back. Actually, I was staying with Kevin Hartzman at the time, which we'll be having him on next month.
Yes.
And
See, that's where my memory was wrong. If I had been telling the story, I thought you were at Deagle's.
no, I was hanging out at Deagle's, but I was
Oh,
staying
okay. Okay.
at
At Kevin's
actually.
at the time.
Actually, I'm sorry, I wasn't staying at Kevin's. Kevin was upstairs. I was staying at Nate's. It was a two
Oh,
apartment.
yes, yes.
It was a two
Yeah,
apartment
Kevin lived above Nate. Yeah.
up
Or yeah,
above. Yep.
Kevin lived
Yep.
above Nate. Yeah.
So I got back, made it back. The car was in a few pieces, but I got there. And so, like I said, that was probably 2:30 in the morning or something. I'm a nervous wreck. I know I'm in trouble. I didn't realize the extent of the trouble I was in. But so I stayed up all night. I couldn't sleep. Of course, I was drinking up pretty much that whole night too. Stayed up all night. It was about 7 in the morning, and come rolling up in the driveway, a sheriff. And there was no hiding what was going on because there
Yeah,
was
right.
there was my car. And here's the irony, though: the I'll never forget. The sheriff's name was Brad Roth, and he says, "What's going on?" And I said, "How did I say it?" I said something to him. Oh, something to the effect. Obviously, I knew why he was there, and he said, "Well, I I never seen such blunt honesty." And I'm like, "Well, can't really lie, you
Yeah,
know."
I mean, at this point, I mean, I would just look more like a
Right.
fool if I tried to lie than
If I'd have been smart at the time, I'll tell you, I would have got rid of the car somewhere else and just been like, we'll work on that later.
bought yourself a little more time, you know?
Right. But anyways, I didn't, and he has proceeded to arrest me, and I was charged with malicious destruction of property, which is a felony because it was over $1,000. Obviously, it ended up being they tried to charge me with like $6,000 or $7,000 in damage to his car.
Might I add that the car probably wasn't even worth five.
No, definitely not. But of course, on his
Yeah.
oh, what
Um,
what ended up happening is I had another attorney. She ended up getting it knocked down to the restitution knocked down. I still ended up paying him like $3,000 in restitution for that car. And that cost me another felony and it cost me another 6 months in jail. With good time once again though, because I ended up being um trustee.
trusty. Yeah. Mhm.
Uh yeah, but that's rough, man. So that was the second time. And the only other time that I actually spent time in jail. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I think you were gonna say something and I interrupted you.
No, I just wanted to read this comment out real quick. Heather had mentioned that she hates child support, and I said same in a sense. What I meant by that is, I know that it's necessary and for a lot of situations, and but I do believe that there's ways to go about it. And then she said, I just went through child support court recently. My abusive ex came after me for child support because he knew I've been paying a ton for a DUI I got in July. That's when I quit drinking, and I'm a single parent to my youngest. And I don't even go after her dad for child support because, again, I hate child support. I don't like how they bury people. My 15-year-old is the one I'm paying child support for. Yeah, that's a very I can definitely understand why you aren't a fan of
Right.
child support.
Well, thanks, Heather, for chiming in. We appreciate
Yeah, absolutely.
all of you guys that give us support. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Obviously, we couldn't do it without you. We'd be talking to ourselves.
Right.
But so I went through that, got out of there. It was rocky for a while. Kind of stayed here and there, did this and that, and your mom and I got back together a time or two, and it just never worked out. We split ways, and the rest is history. Child support came in, obviously for me. I was stuck in it for I think about almost 12 years solid until I was finished with it. Um, and I don't, I agree with child support, but I don't as well. And I'll just give you my take on that because I don't agree with how the court takes care of it, right? Because obviously it
Right.
puts the state in the middle and they decide,
Yep.
well, they just take your money and give it. She can spend it however she wants. It don't matter. You have no say in where it goes or, any of that type of stuff. And I don't like the state being involved, period. So
Right.
there's
I agree.
there's that,
Yeah.
fortunately for some, there are some people that are able to keep the state out, which actually your
Yeah.
mother and I did for a little while. But then what happens when you get the state involved because you get assistance from the state, then she has to go through the state. So that took care of that. But
Right.
anyways, obviously, a whole different subject. But so that went on, and so the next, let's see, when would it have been? My next encounter with the law would be well, a simple got pulled over with no insurance, and at the time, Michigan had a driver responsibility fee, and so yeah, that wasn't really, I mean, not really a crime. I guess it was a crime, but they charge you. They did end up, let's see, it was actually when we were playing in the band, so that's 20 years ago now. I
Yep.
was I was 32. We were playing in the band, and you were the drummer boy, Minnie Vinny, and I had gotten oh, that's what it was. So actually, yeah, you were with me, so that's right.
Yep. Yeah, I
Because
remember this one pretty
we,
clear.
right, I felt terrible because you were young, and Well, unfortunately, I mean, I was a drinker and uh I could handle it. It wasn't a big deal. I was drinking. We had open and talks in the car. Well, what happened was we were driving John's girlfriend's car at the time, right? And if you remember,
You know, the
you
yeah, I
remember
do.
she had like, I don't know, 400 necklaces
Like
hanging
the beads and the
on the
all
mirror.
that, you
So the cop
know.
pulled me over for that. And of course, now we got empty containers and we're drinking and I had just enough for him to take me to jail and so that was another, but that was an overnight thing, of course, and then it just cost you a ton of money. And so
Right.
thankfully, one night in jail is enough, man. If I never go there again, it'll be too soon.
Shout out to Jailbird Johnny because that was a funny ass situation. I mean, the most fun that you can make out of a shit situation, you know.
Right.
The cop is like throwing the breathalyzer on the ground, and Johnny's like, "Hey, that's
Yeah,
littering. You
that's a
can't do that."
$500 fine, he said. I remember it. That was great.
Cop's like, "Valdez,"
Yeah. You,
telling him to knock it off. Then he's just egging him on. That
you
was
know,
some pretty funny shit.
yeah, because the cops know Johnny. That's why
Right.
they call the band Jailbird Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not funny, but um the second time I was in both times I was in jail, I was trustee with Johnny.
Oh,
So
how ironic is
yeah,
that?
the second time I come in, uh somebody was like, "Yeah, you know Valdez, he said you were gonna be here today. He warned us about you." They were all laughing, you know, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know Johnny," and he hopped off his bunk and went and took a piss and walked by and he's like, "Sup, Brett?" Went back to bed because he was on work release, so he was
All
getting to
right,
sleep in before he had to
right.
take off or whatever. But yeah, what a interesting experience to be in there both times with Johnny.
No doubt. Yeah, so with that DUI, also was a driver responsibility fee at the time, which thankfully they've eliminated because just hammering the poor people. So they take your driver's license, and then of course you can't afford to pay the fines. So what do? They revoke your license, then you got to pay another 125 to reinstate that. It's just all a big money scheme, it's pretty unfortunate.
Yep.
And and finally, unfortunately for me, I did end up with another charge, and it's actually I don't like to admit it, but I will because it happened. But it was a domestic violence, and I got married to a lady named Lisa. We were together for almost 12 years. Unfortunately, all about it, and
Yes, I do.
it was a toxic relationship. Number one, I should have never married her. She was a raging alcoholic. She was horrible to be around from about 6 p.m. to 12 every night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and things got ugly. It escalated. For in my defense, I never beat her up or you'd have never seen, nothing like that. Just things happen that shouldn't have. And of course, they labeled domestic violence. Everything can be labeled domestic violence these days.
Right.
I was accused
Yep.
of punching her in the face. Right, she'd have been knocked out dead probably. But beside the point, I ended up in jail for a night over that as well. And of course, now that haunts my record. And but see, and that's another aspect of the whole thing with the truth behind the criminal thing, right? So I think that they've actually removed all of them felonies because mine they're so old, I mean, you're
Right.
30 years old now almost. Well, the one is 33 years, the other is 25 years, yeah, 26, whatever it is. Um, so I think they've actually, because I did a background check through the state police, and nothing shows up. Um, but anyways, throughout my life, that's always been a problem because I have a criminal background. Nobody wants to hire me because I'm
Right.
a criminal. Instead of looking at it, like when I went before the judge about destroying that guy's car, it was Donald Teeple in Sanilac County.
Yep. I know people.
He actually went through the divorce with me and Lisa as well, and he was actually a nice guy. And I'll never forget when I went before him for that, and he said to the end of the courtroom, he said, Mr. Vanconi, he said, I understand exactly why you did what you did. But at the same time, we can't have people going around destroying shit in public because you're angry.
Right. Right.
So,
Yep.
well, laws should have been different, but that's another whole subject. But
Right.
thankfully, we learn and ultimately, well, we're not done yet here, but So I wanted to share with you guys, and this is actually very unfortunate. Um, so in that divorce, when my mother was, and I was 14 months old, and my dad and mom split, she cheated on my dad too, is what happened, and they split. He was obviously tore up, uh, contemplated suicide quite a bit at the time. But she, at the time, so I was around two, well, 14 months when they split. Um, I have a younger brother. His name's Kelly. Um, and he actually has my last name, even though he's not a Van Conant. But she had the last name when he was born, and he just kept it. But we are blood because the same mother, obviously. Well,
Right.
he, living in Flint, growing up where he grew up, bad place, bad part of the city or whatever. So, and I want to share this because I want to just state the obvious that if I wouldn't have changed my ways, I probably could have ended up here. And I'm going to share this screen. Hopefully yeah, it's ready. And just run down where this guy's at. Okay, so he's 2 years younger than me. And I'm just going to share. This is my half brother. His name is Kelly Scott Van Conant. Now, he's got a long history. He is currently in the Alger Correctional Facility in the UP. Yeah, he's 49, born in October of 76. Now, I just want to show you guys his earliest release date is June 5th of 2055. So, and without going through everything he's been charged with, I mean, look at his list goes on and on and on, and he just kept doing the same things: weapons charges, violence, theft, on and on. And apparently, this last charge here, which I'm just gonna, one of the, let's see, there's one, the active charges, there's five of them, I believe.
Wow.
Yep. Weapons, two felony weapons charges, three felony weapons charges, bribing a witness, and this here, sentence three, assault with intent and with intent to do great bodily harm, less than a murder, or by strangulation. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but obviously that's not good. Now that's a minimum
Yeah.
sentence of
No
25.
joke.
That's a minimum sentence of 25 years, and he's going to sit the whole thing because he just never stopped. And last time I talked, because I have a half sister as well, she told me that it's basically been his whole life. And you know, when I had looked this up last night because we were going to talk about her criminal history, I said I forgot to look because it wasn't updated last time I checked on him, and there it is updated. So I wanted to share that and just say, obviously that's somewhere I could be, and thank God I'm not. And when I found this last night, I just got to tell you, it really kind of hit home for me, man. It kind of teared me up a bit because he is my blood, and
Right.
it's
Right.
unfortunate.
Although you guys have never met, I mean, it's still,
Right. Well, yeah, I knew him. Well, we knew each other I mean, he was an infant. I was about three.
right.
I think he was
Right.
about less than a year, and I was about 3 years, right in that area. But I don't obviously don't remember him. Same with my mother. Um, but it's just very unfortunate, and I pray that he finds God, and that's all you can do. And now he's stuck there the rest of his life. That's horrible. Who knows
Yep.
how many lives he's destroyed or whatever he did. It's too bad. Can't change it now, and I didn't share that to humiliate him or belittle him or anything like that. Because
No. Right.
obviously, because look at I'm no saint by any stretch of the imagination. You know, so there we
Right.
are, and we were going to have Jesse Ford on. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, but because he was going to share some of his background as well. But I just want to say this truth is what really keeps you out of it. If you're a believer, that's
Absolutely.
what you need. And for me, I always return to it for truth and the word and reflection. And yeah, absolutely. And I get it. Not everybody's a believer, but
Right.
to me, that's the Teen Ranch thing is where I was introduced. Basically, it was before that, like I said, in my childhood. But my childhood was so messed up, I wasn't paying attention to God or any of that. What do as a teenager, a 15-year-old in Teen Ranch, that was, like I said, it was a Christian based home. So it was actually It was a very good setting, actually. You know, we actually did church 3 times a week, twice Sunday, once Wednesday. Um,
Was it like a Catholic church or
no,
not that it matters, but I
no, I
was just
don't. It
curious.
was definitely wasn't Catholic. I don't know. It may have been Methodist or Protestant. I don't remember for sure. But I didn't. Nothing really stands out about it, right? We used to go to a Kingston church. I remember. But and another funny story. I just got to tell you back. So the teen ranch thing. So there was 10 of us. The one end of the house had 5 bedrooms, 2 boys in each room, with the showers, double showers, and all that. And we had a giant round table. So there was a family, right? The house parents, we call them. The mom and dad, they had their kids, and they had the other end of the house. So we all ate dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner together. Well, not lunch, school days, but breakfast, dinner. And we had a giant round table. I mean, it had to been easily 10 foot in circumference. And it had a giant lazy Susan on it, which was probably about 6 foot in circumference. And everything went on that. And we'd, get everything served, um, sit there, pass it around, do your thing, pray, eat.
Right.
And of course, afterwards, everyone had a chore. You know, you either had to vacuum, you had to do dishes. That's where I learned to make sure I did dishes right. Let me tell you, when you do dishes for 15 people, you don't do them right the
Do it
first
right the
time.
first time.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
So,
no shit.
so we learned. So, like I said, the Teen Ranch was an absolutely great experience for me. It was probably one of the best in my life. Unfortunately, I got back out when I went back, and I had told you guys already that I kind of went back into the same rut, being stupid, ended up breaking a law again and hanging out with the wrong people, drugs and alcohol, and there's a whole lot more in between. Uh, Fortunately, I was never busted for any of that because I could have been in serious trouble for drugs as well. But that's all
Same.
behind us. Thank God for that. So,
Absolutely.
and yeah, we appreciate everyone for joining. Don't necessarily need to wrap up yet. I still like to keep an hour. They're close to it anyways. And for those that have chimed in, we appreciate it. And if you have
Yes,
any questions,
definitely.
feel free to contact us anytime if you have questions or you'd like to join or whatever, because we like.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Actually, Heather, since I have you on here, I was gonna recommend or actually talk to you maybe. She works at a casino. She cleans up at a casino, and I think that she's probably got some cool stuff that she could bring to the table if she ever wants to join us for an episode.
Oh, okay. Where at are you? Is she watching now?
She is watching now. She says, of course. W which or whereabouts, Heather, do you work at a casino? And I
So
apologize if you told me. You may have told me, and I don't remember.
we ha-
Um, and then Anthony says was close to felonies, though by the grace of God, cases were dropped to lesser sentence. Amen.
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was looking at 5 of them, and they're lenient, but they obviously they look at your past. I was not a habitual offender. I was never that type of person. The malicious destruction of property thing, that's something where, adultery actually used to be a felony on the books in Michigan. They changed that law. I learned that when I was in jail from old books, law books actually. Um, but things were different. You say 75 years prior to what me doing that, because who knows what would have happened, I mean, things, which speaking of that, actually, it's a good thing at that time I didn't own a gun because a couple people might be dead and everything would be totally different. That's just
Right.
when you're,
I uh I will openly admit that I have a firearm, but I'm not sure if I would have trusted myself with one when I was an active alcoholic because there were some, days and nights that I don't remember doing some pretty crazy shit, with my fists that
right.
I feel like if I would have had a gun that I might have went above and beyond. Heather says, yes, yeah, I work at Haraz, Northern California, and I own California. California.
No kidding. That's very cool, Heather.
Is
Um,
very cool.
yeah, I've only been to, I forget the name of it, the casino that we went to up north in UP,
Keewatin. That's the only one
Keywine.
I've been to
Okay,
as
yeah,
well.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I still
Uh,
got pictures.
well, it's easy to blow $100 in there and come back with less than $100 or no bucks.
That was
So,
a fun trip. Beef jerky beer
oh,
and
good
liquor.
Lord. The beef
Enough
jerky.
beef jerky, man. Oh, that was
Holy,
great.
I
I
forgot, but
even You even ended up sending me home with some. We gave some away. Like, man, everybody had beef jerky.
yeah, because we stopped at that what was that place where they sell the
I
classic?
forget, but they got the big Sasquatch outside of it.
Yeah, they sell the holy crap. They had the great big Gaylord box full of them. It was like a 30-pound bag of beef jerky for
Man, I seen that thing and I was like, dude.
it. It's on.
Yeah, and that was like literally all we had. It's all we needed.
Right.
Shit. Well, I mean, we went out to that burger place, the
All right.
veteran ran.
Now,
Um,
a burger.
yeah,
H,
yeah, that was really good.
A
Heather
burger.
Hart says, Heather Hart says, beef jerky is the best. Anthony says, got to have one as protection these days. Just never know what would
Yeah.
pop off. Oh, speaking about the firearm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just hard for, some people can't,
Right.
per se. But
Yeah, I
yes,
just,
they're,
well, at the time, like I said, because, well, I told when we were talking about the ghost stories with Becky there, I
yo,
told about, at that time when that first foster home, I was 15 and I, I think Paul kept, at the time, that was my foster dad's name, Paul. He had oh, geez, he had an arsenal, man. I don't even know how many guns he had. But there was like seven rifles in my room. That's where he stored them in my closet. And I had actually had one when that whole deal happened. I'm like, what the hell was that?
right?
Ready to
Oh
fire at
yeah,
something. But I'm not a crazy person. I ain't gonna go assault anybody with a weapon like that. But when your
right.
significant other leaves you for someone else, boy, those thoughts are there. And
Hmm.
so just like I said, thank God that didn't turn out that way. It's all good.
Right.
Just the way things work out sometimes, and especially when we're younger, because uh
I've definitely had guardian angels my whole life because I could, like you did, I could write a book on the shit that I've gotten away with. That's for
right.
sure. Like I don't know how some of the things I got away with, and there's even been some times where I've been caught and the police were nice and they were like, "Look, you were honest, so here's your warning." Like when I busted into a trailer in Marlette when I was like 12, I think I was like 12, hanging out with some friends, dude. I started smoking weed when I was 12. I was stoned. I'll never forget it, walking around in there, and I'm like, hey, no one lives in this trailer. Let's try to get in there, you know? And my buddy Matt walks up to it and he's like, he's looking through the windows, and I think I'm gonna be cool, wrap my shirt around my hand. Bink, bust in the window. We didn't even get in, dude. The neighbors called on us.
uh
Fucking cops were there, and he's like, so what are you doing, guy?
right.
Type thing. Actually, he was McGinnis. I
uh
believe he's the chief now, ain't he? Anyway, back then he was just,
yeah.
just a normal cop, but he just was like, man, come on.
What are you
He's
doing,
like, he's
stupid?
yeah, it's like, what are you doing? And I was honest with him, and he's like, he also liked that I didn't rat on my friends. He knew that my friends were involved, and I didn't tell on them. He thought that was cool. Uh, but no, I mean, that was little, but I've gotten away with a lot of much bigger shit.
Well,
That's for
well,
sure.
while we're on the subject, obviously, so speaking of drugs, I was when I was on probation for the malicious destruction of property. At the time I was kind of getting into some drugs and some cocaine,
Oh yeah.
and I just happened to be living with your uncle at the time in a trailer, a little trailer. So I'm gonna have to just tell this story because you ain't gonna believe it.
Yeah. Mm.
So I shared the little tiny room in the center of the trailers where I lived, hung out, and I was working full time. Man, I was also dealing cocaine on the side and partaking in said schedules. And so, anyways, unfortunately, at the time, your uncle was being watched because he was selling weed. And of course, nobody knew. I didn't know.
Right.
I'm on felony probation, man, and I'm dealing coke like a brilliant idiot. And so I was at work one day, and actually, ironically, I worked with your mother at the same shop. And
Yep.
she took me out to the side there one day, and she's like, "Jimmy's house just got raided." And I shit you not, I had to go to the bathroom, man. I was going to pass out because I knew I was so screwed because I had I don't remember exactly how much I had, but I had probably a half
Mm.
an ounce or more in my bedroom, all marked out, ready to sell, 50s, hundos, halves,
Right.
whatever. And this is what they did. The cops went through that entire place. They took most of your Uncle Jimmy's stuff. All my stuff in the bedroom, they tore that place upside down. They took my guitar out and were playing with it. I had a dry erase marker board on the wall, and they wrote a note on there that said, "We were here, you weren't." And on top, so if you know the trailers, anybody that's been in a trailer, they have that center in the little center room. Some of them might have the dresser where there's like a closet, hot water, furnace on this side. So there's a little enclosure. You have the dresser and you have where you'd set whatever, your jewelry box or whatever up there, mirror. I had my little, what do you call it, little drawer thing where, screws and that type of stuff, right? I
Right.
had my little mirror with my razor and residue sitting right there. You can't tell me I didn't see it. And open up the first drawer, and all of that stuff was in there. It was still in there. They didn't even look in there, or they
What
don't
the
even know how. I have no idea how that ever happened, but thank God, because I would have been right back. There'd have been another felony right there because like I said,
Yeah, and I remember that time frame too. So
I was
that would have
dealing,
been, I think, 04-ish, oh
yeah,
05 maybe at the
yeah,
latest. Yeah.
somewhere around there. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I said, like an idiot. I mean, I was dealing, uh, ounces of it at a time, and that's definitely a felony. So pretty
Yeah.
stupid, anyways. But like I said, we wanted to just. I figured, you know what, truth is great. We need to be truthful in who we are. It's what made us who we are.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, all those stupid experiences have made me who I am today. I know a lot and have a lot of wisdom because of it. I definitely know what not to do. And
Heather says, "Dang, you had some angels too, without a doubt, on
right
your
on.
little experience there."
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
crazy,
absolutely.
crazy times, man. One last
Which
little, go
your
ahead.
little I was gonna say with the truth thing, I was gonna tell our listeners that your little truth video before we came on here, that's definitely you guys should give that a view because it's the truth, no
Yeah,
pun intended.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's only a little hiccup in there. I'm like, well, I'll leave it. Nothing's perfect anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
before we let you guys go, and like I said, we really appreciate you tuning in. I got one more quick story, and it's the same time frame, that little cocaine time frame there. So I had went and got, at this point, I'd only gotten half an ounce as I was getting it fronted to me from somebody we won't mention. And it was a dead winter. I was coming home all excited, and because I would always share with my buddies, I'd have 4 or 5 people over. I'm doing it free. I don't care. Share it, sell it, make a little money. And I stop on the side of the road to my normal routine, take a pee. And when I had the half ounce, I had my big brown winter coat and I had an inside pocket. I thought I shoved it in there. Well, it didn't make it in the pocket. So when I got out to pee, guess where it went? On the road in the snow. I had no idea. I got back to the trailer. We're all ready to get down, man. And guess what? I'm like, dude, I cannot find it anywhere. I'm tearing my clothes apart. Couldn't find it. Couldn't sleep worth a crap, obviously, all night. And it was like 5 in the morning. It hit me. I'm like, dude, I stopped there to pee, right?
Mhm.
I shit you not. I went back out. There's about a mile and a half around the corner on the back road. Windy, cold, freezing out, man. I drive out there and I shit you not, there was the top of the baggie blowing in the wind like this.
Yo,
Like that, you gotta be kidding me. There was a little flat, and there it was. I ran it
like what
over.
are the chances,
I
man?
ran, I ran it over and packed it into the snow, and there it was. So, anyways, the rest of that ensued, and there we are. But
We have one more before we close out. From Donald Kramer. He
okay,
says, "Religion doesn't save anyone, but a relationship with Jesus who died and paid for all your sins, past, present, and future."
absolutely. Thanks, Don, for chiming in.
Yes.
We hope you'll make it, and when we're able to, when we're actually going to do. Let me see. Let's run down that schedule real quick before we go here. We are planning on doing, which Don is a very cool follower from Peck of ours, of mine at least.
Awesome.
We are going to do next week, by the way, is going to be our 25th episode with the new Van Conant sessions. Um, yeah, Don, we hope you'll be,
Already at 25.
yeah, we hope you'll be able to join us. So the 8th of March, we plan on doing our podcast on creation and Ken Ham's book, which Don knows all about. So
Awesome.
very cool, Don. We appreciate your input, and I appreciate your input as always. Um,
Absolutely.
constructive criticism is always welcome as well. We can't do everything
Yes.
perfect. I try to do things as best I know how. We're amateurs, but we
Nope.
learn.
And with the constructive criticism, then we learn to become better.
Absolutely. So, with that said, guys, we truly appreciate y'all chiming in and taking your time out for us because it means a lot to us because obviously we would be wasting our time if nobody was paying attention. So we appreciate it. And
Truly.
looking forward to next week. My old friend and brother from Peck, Danny Beals, the real Danny, or the real deal Danny Beals, and my bad, is
Heck
gonna
yeah, man.
is gonna join us to discuss professional wrestling and family. Quite the combination, but good stuff, man. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be our 25th episode. So we hope you guys will chime in then, and we will see you then. Peace from Grovetown, Georgia.
Peace from Peck, Michigan.
See you guys next time. Thanks.
Later.